consider that good accounting principles or practices? I mean, what do you think about, I mean, do we have an accounting of the Barton Springs TIF that you can say beyond a reasonable doubt that we have all the documentation and that we can do an audit today?
I do.
Okay, and where is this documentation?
Presently, the documentation would be at the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, so now, but this stuff apparently just showed up today. I mean, I've been asking since January, so you don't know what all's in that documentation, or have you done an audit today?
You didn't ask me that.
Well, do we have the...
You asked me if I thought we could do an audit.
Okay.
And I said, yes, I thought we could.
So you are comfortable...
If you would please explain to me how this is germane to...
It's germane because we're getting ready to give another $2.5 million when we've already given them $1.1
Barton
million.
Springs is a separate TIF, and I'm trying to figure out
Well,
why it's germane to Masengill.
BB&J is directly involved with both projects, and if they can't account for the first TIF, I think maybe we need to answer a few questions. I've got just one or two more questions on that, and then I'll get off of that. In the only documentation that I've seen, there was a $10,300 fee paid to an industrial board member. Now, as we've discussed before, those fees are supposed to be approved by the industrial board. Now, was that fee ever approved? And did you know about that fee prior to me telling you at Jack on April the 11th?
Being paid out of the TIF money?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know it was paid out of TIF money.
Okay. Now, would you agree, though, that for a consulting fee, it has to be approved by the development board?
Actually, it was approved by our representative, Tom Robinson.
Okay.
It's signed off by him.
But it specifically says in the policy and procedures, it has to be approved by the board, not the secretary or whoever, whatever his title would be.
I think you will find in our procedures there that the individual representing the industrial board has that authority.
Okay, would you look at the policy and procedures I gave you there? Section 4.2, eligible costs.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing in there that says a designated representative. It says specifically any and all capitalized things that are not specifically mentioned must be approved by the board. Item number 6. And so that was never approved by the board.
It was approved by Tom Robinson.
Okay, but it wasn't approved by the board. So we have a potential illegal fee there because it was unauthorized by our own policy and procedures.
I would contend that it's not an illegal fee, Paul.
Okay. If you go take a car from downstairs that belongs to the city without approval, it'd be called grand theft auto and it'd be illegal because you didn't get permission to do it. Now, if there was no approval per our policy and procedures, then I have to make the assumption that it's illegal because it's not approved.
If that's the assumption that you would like to make, I think that's appropriate on your part.
Okay. Discuss the monitoring process of how we're going to make sure that this TIF actually is monitored properly and that we can actually get the information and know that it was done properly, since we've shown that we can't on previous TIFs.
I would suggest to you, as you well know, because you've apparently broadcast it, in terms of what we're trying to do as a board is to refine and continue to get better at what we do.
So what is
At the present time, we are requesting that all project costs and a copy of those invoices must flow through the industrial board, particularly our representative. In this case, it will be Marshall Ramsey and his secretary.
So that is, so the safeguard now will be all things will flow through Marshall, so any elected official that asks for this information will be able to get it on this current TIF. Now, I think the word of Marshall, I think is very smart, but do you think he's got the skill set to accurately and effectively monitor a program like this? He's not an accountant. I don't know that he has any construction experience, and this is definitely a big construction type project. So I'm wondering, are you setting him up to fail?
I feel very confident in Marshall's ability to evaluate these expenditures, given that an architect will be signing off on each particular piece of the construction.
Tony, do you think it would be advisable from your management experience that it would make more sense for the IDB to hire a third party to receive invoices, determine if they're correct, and or approve payment or non-payment?
For example, when we manage a sewer project, I rely on the consulting engineers to review the invoices, make sure they're appropriate. I understand, as Mr. Craine just said that in this situation, the architect for the project is the one that's fulfilling that function. As long as there's a third-party professional reviewing the invoices, I think you're adequately